treacherous bog. Frost! Hey guys, Dabadoo here. So I just wanted to provide a build update. I've changed a couple of things about my character. It's helped me get through maps. I'm in currently tier 9 to 10 maps right now. What you saw in the gameplay footage was a tier 10 map, I believe, that I was showcasing. And let me tell you about the kind of changes or significant changes that I've made to this build. So I took off Frostbomb. I'm no longer using that. I am still running 2 unset rings to support 11 skills. And the 2 extra skills you can say that I'm running with these unset rings are Elemental Evocation and Wind Dancer. Regarding a non-buff skill to get rid of, I guess Storm Wave is probably the skill that you don't really need in this loadout right now, but everything else is kind of important. But of note, to fit in Elemental Evocation, you will need to get, I have 56 spirit on my chest and 45 spirit on my amulet, and that extra spirit basically lets me run these 2 passive buffs, okay? But anyways, I'm no longer running Cast on Crit. I will try to implement Cast on Crit later on in this build when I have a better quarterstaff and I have better gear that has even more spirit than I currently have. I'll be taking out Elemental Evocation and I'll be adding Cast on Crit. But let me tell you about the tech. Let me tell you why I'm running this current loadout and why you should run this current loadout if you're trying to run this build. So you're going to need Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer will keep you alive. Without Wind Dancer, I would say my evasion would be 60% right now. And also, you're going to want a quality Wind Dancer up too, okay? So put some gem cutters on this because it'll add an extra maximum stage to that. And that every stage is it like 7% more chance to evade or something like that. It's pretty nice. Also, what's great about Wind Dancer is that when a monster does actually hit you and get through your very high evasion, the monster will get knocked back and will get hurt. The supports that I have on Wind Dancer are Concentrated Effect, Maim, and also Heft. And that's usually enough to basically kill or one-shot a white monster if the white monster hits you. If it is an elite, magic, or boss, the boss probably is not going to get one-shot by this thing. But it's a great defensive tool, and that's what I would suggest for the supports. For Elemental Evocation, you're not running Cast on Crit yet because it's hard to support. You're going to need really good gear, and that's more of an endgame thing. But until then, run Elemental Evocation, okay? That will let you run Eye of Winter, and you can use it when you need to use it. Eye of Winter is great. The main reason why we're using this is because it hits a bunch really, really fast, and it applies critical weakness. The plan of this character, long term, and I don't even have this yet, but so the plan is I'm going to get this as my 3rd Ascendancy. I still haven't even got my Ascendancies yet. Maybe after the patch drops, I'll try running Sanctum to get this 3rd Ascendancy. But this is going to be my 3rd Ascendancy, and this is going to be my 4th Ascendancy. And again, that will work quite well with Cast on Crit, but again, I need a better quarterstaff, which I don't have, and more support on my tree. Like the Cast on Crit is very, very endgame. But this is a great thing to use until you get endgame, and I'm not there yet, so this is what I'm using. And the whole tech behind this is you drop the bell, right, when fighting a boss or an elite or whatever, and then you cast your Eye of Winter. I press G on my keyboard. That's the hotkey that I have for it. And it spits out all of the Eyes of Winter I have saved up. So that might be 1 to 5, okay? That's a lot of Eyes of Winter all shooting out at once. They each hit like many times a second, and each hit applies a critical weakness, and that'll stack up your base chance to crit on the monster, which is really powerful. And also, I'm not running Frozen Orb anymore, or Frost Bomb, I believe it's called. So I'm getting cold exposure from the Eye of Winter. So the Eyes of Winter themselves don't do a bunch of damage, but if you have 5 built up and you shoot it off, like that's a lot of spirals that come out. So that is some damage right there. But it's really for stacking the critical weakness, hitting a bunch in 1 second, hitting a bunch of times in 1 second, and applying cold exposure. And as you saw, that basically instant elite bosses, right? You drop the bell, you cast your Eye of Winter, and the bell triggers like 20 times. This bell can get hit 23 times if you quality it up. That'll increase the amount of get hit, and it's just an instant way to just get rid of the bell and do a ton of burst damage. So that is the new tech that I've implemented in the build. Late game, when you get enough spirit, the plan is to take out this and put on Cast on Crit. And of course, you'll also need higher crit as well, higher base chance to crit, a better quarterstaff than what I have. I don't have any chance to crit on my quarterstaff. Another change that I've made is I took out Concentrated Effect from Ice Strike. I instead put it in Close Combat. These are the supports that I'm running. I don't have enough exalts to get a better jeweler's orb, so I'm just all running on lesser jewelers right now. But I would suggest your supports for Eye Strike be martial tempo, crescendo, and close combat. Take concentrated effect out of there, stick it on your Wind Dancer. You'll hit more, it'll just feel nicer, kind of a quality of life improvement. And you're doing enough damage anyways, so it's fine. The 25% extra damage isn't, or more damage isn't reflected in this tooltip right now. It's conditional, but so I'm probably doing like, 22,000 DPS base without any buffs. But the thing is, it buffs up really quickly, right? You'll see by the gameplay. I'm doing decent damage on a tier 10 boss. Like, I instant deleted that tier 10. Again, I know this isn't tier 15 maps. My problem right now is I just don't have a lot of time to play the game. I'm working on that. Maybe I'll be able to, get through a few tiers of maps today, but yeah, that's my challenge right now, and so a lot of people are ahead of me. But for the people that are watching my videos, maybe I'm the right amount of progression for you. I don't know. A couple of other things that I want to cover about this build. First, let me just go over my gear, just so you can kind of see what I'm using. I don't have the best gear in the world. It's not horrible, but it's all self-crafted, except this quarterstaff, which I sniped a long time ago. For, I don't know, like 18 exalts. It's probably worth a lot less now, but it is what it is. So this is the quarterstaff that I'm running. This is the helmet that I'm running. Again, all this gear is self-crafted. I might have bought it from the auction house as like a rare with like just base amount of fixes and slammed it up, or bought it as a magic item, or just like a normal item and crafted it from there. Or I just got it as a drop and crafted it. So that's I have 45 spirit on that. This is my body armor, and I have, 56 spirit on that. That extra 100 or so spirit lets me run Elemental Evocation, which is 60, and it also lets me run Wind Dancer as well. However, if you can't get body armor that has a bunch of spirit on it, and maybe you have a really great piece of body armor that doesn't have spirit, then just take out Elemental Evocation. You're still going to need to get spirit from your amulet or whatever to support Wind Dancer. But, that's the plan. It's really nice to shoot out those Eyes of Winters to basically trigger the Tempest Belt, 23 times in like basically 1 second. That's pretty cool. But, just, you can always just, hit the Tempest Bell with your Ice Strike as well. And that's probably enough to beat up the boss, because whenever you're hitting with your Ice Strike, you're also shooting out your Charge Staff Shockwave as well, so each attack is actually 2. So anyways, but going back to the gear, so I have these 2 onset rings again that lets me run 11 skills instead of 9. This is my body armor. These are my gloves. I do like the fact that my elemental resistances are basically capped right now. I wish my chaos was higher, but the point is that I don't have any resistances on my gloves except this glacial rune, okay? And that's nice. That gives me some flexibility in terms of itemization. There's a pair of unique gloves that basically lets all of your lightning damage electrocute. So those are some gloves I can try out if I want to play around with the Electrocute Tech. I'm probably also going to take off. I guess I'm preparing for the patch. So one of the adjustments that they're planning on the patch is this skill gem right here won't have the less damage part of it. It'll just say your lightning damage contributes to electrocution buildup. So I might put this on here. This is my poker skill. This skill really isn't that necessary for the build. I barely even use it nowadays. But it's nice to have on there, so I have it. And again, let's say you have the spirit to run Elemental Evocation and Wind Dancer, that extra 100 or so, but you're not running 2 unset rings, you just have 1 unset ring, then this is the skill that I would ditch from the list. This is probably the least needed skill right now, okay? Also, what's something important that I wanted to touch on, because just other people that are releasing builds aren't slotting these supports in based off of what I can tell, and I really do feel that these supports work best on these skills. And I just want to point these out because other monk builds that I see aren't really doing these. They're putting these supports on other skills. So I think the best supports for Herald of Ice are Ice Bite, an Innervate and increased AoE. If you saw from the gameplay footage, my Herald of Ice was killing a lot of monsters, and it was a pretty big explosion. And whenever I killed a monster, I basically had these two buffs on. And so they don't last that long, but it was significant. I wouldn't put these, your other skills are going to need other things on them. So another thing that's important is for my charge staff, I have Persistence, Blind, and Culling Strike. Okay? Those are probably the best things to put on charge staff to start out with. Okay? For my Maim, I actually have it on my Wind Dancer over here. Okay? But those are the kind of the supports to add additional conditions on monsters that I would suggest in, you know, the whole charge staff, Wind Dancer, and also Herald of Ice. I think that'll just kind of give you the best combination of all those effects. Okay. So back to my gear again. These are my gloves. This is my belt. Still the same belt. I got a different pair of boots. It's not much better than my old boots, but it had higher resistances. So, like, you know, all of this stuff is like, you know, 1 to 5 exalted, I guess. And I crafted it from there. It's not the best. My favorite charms are the stun charm. So, you know, getting stunned sucks. Also the slow charm. I was able to find this flask. I really like this flask. The gain 2.5 charges per second and the increased amount of recovered. I think that, and it had quality on as well. So I got really lucky with that flask, and I'm still running the same flask as well. But that's the gear that I'm currently running. Those are my skills that I'm currently running. Let me talk about kind of things that I've learned mapping and going through the waystone system in this game. So, okay, guys, let's talk about my strategy for doing maps or waystones. Okay, I'm going to call them maps from now on because I don't like calling them waystones. So what did I do? What would I suggest? And let me show you my Atlas tree. Okay, so what you want to do is to start with your lower tier waystones. Just try to make beelines to the towers and try to go through pathing that isn't that special. So this is an example that, you know, Blooming Field has special encounters on it. Okay, this is an example of a map or biome that has a lot of special encounters on it. For those, I try to save those until later tiers. Okay, so you want to do basically maps without that many special encounters on them, and you want to take those paths to towers to unlock the towers, to put precursor tablets in your towers to buff up all of the areas around it. So when you do maps in that area, they are more profitable. And then for the maps with more special modifiers on them, save them until later and do them on higher tiers. So I might not do this map until like tier 15, okay? Until I have a tier 15 waystone to put on it. But what I would do is I would try to rush through the area, get to these towers over here, go through a path that will try to avoid bosses if possible, because I want to do my bosses on the higher tiers if possible, and the least special maps as well. So I'm following the least special maps to grab the towers, to unlock the towers, to put tablets in the towers, and so what's left over on the Atlas should just be the maps with a bunch of special encounters on them, and they're already buffed up by all of the towers around them, and so now now you're higher tier waystones, and so you can use your higher tier waystones on those special maps. That's the plan. That's the strategy that I'm using. It seems to be working just fine. I also have a loot filter that I set up, and that will help this build out as well. It's basically a loot filter specialized for this build and for playing a monk, and I'm going to release that later today with a video, and hopefully people will find that useful. So that's the plan there. Okay, guys, to finish this out, let's talk about the Atlas skill tree that I have set up so far. So what I would do to start is I would come up over here for the higher tier waystones, okay? And I get the increased number of monster packs. So you just have more monster density in your waystones, your maps, okay? Then you can put points up here and also up here if that's what you want to go for. But let me show you the notables that you also want to chase. So this is a very good notable, and also coming over here is also a very good notable. So these are the notables that I would pick or prioritize first. Beyond that, what I would try to go for is I'd come down here, I'd go through the quantity passives, and then I'd grab the high road over here. You also want to take a lucky pillage. To get those, I'd actually prioritize explicits over rarities. So I'd come up over here, and then I'd also get lucky pillage. By that point, I'd probably be on like tier 12 or 13 maps, I think. So that's what you're looking at to start the Waystone Atlas tree. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm going to come out with a video later today regarding my loot filter, and maybe you'll find that useful. All right, take care.